Every single person wants a better life, a stronger future, and a sense of purpose. But very few understand one truth: your life does not change by chance. It changes by what you work on every day. Big dreams mean nothing without daily effort. Success is not built in one powerful moment. It is built in small, repeated decisions that shape who you become. The first thing you must work on every day is your mindset. Your mindset decides how you see problems, people, and possibilities. If your mind is negative, every opportunity will look like a threat. If your mind is strong, even failure becomes a lesson. Train your mind daily to focus on growth instead of excuses. You must work on self-discipline every day. Motivation will not always be there. Some days you will feel tired, bored, or unprepared. Discipline is what carries you forward when emotions try to pull you back. It is doing what needs to be done, even when no one is watching. You must work on controlling your thoughts. What you think repeatedly becomes your reality. If you allow fear, doubt, and comparison to live freely in your mind, they will slowly destroy your confidence. Guard your thoughts. Replace negativity with intention and direction. You must work on consistency. Talent can give you a head start, but consistency will take you further than talent ever could. Small effort every day beats intense effort once in a while. Progress respects those who show up daily. You must work on your emotional control. Life will test your patience. People will disappoint you. Situations will not always go your way. Reacting emotionally can ruin opportunities in seconds. Staying calm gives you power. When you control your emotions, no one else can control you. You must work on learning every day. The moment you stop learning, you stop growing. Knowledge sharpens your thinking and expands your perspective. Even a few minutes of learning daily compounds into wisdom over time. You must work on your health. Your dreams require energy. Your body is the vehicle that carries your ambition. Ignoring your health eventually limits your ability to perform. Movement, rest, and care are not optional if you want long-term success. You must work on your time management. Time is the one thing everyone receives equally, yet few use wisely. Wasted time becomes wasted potential. When you respect your time, your life gains direction. You must work on your goals every day, not just by thinking about them, but by acting toward them. Remind yourself why you started. Direction keeps you focused when distractions try to pull you away. And finally, you must work on becoming better than you were yesterday. Not better than others. Not faster than someone else. Just better than your past self. Improvement does not need to be dramatic. It only needs to be consistent. When you work on these things daily, your life begins to shift quietly. People may not notice at first, but one day they will wonder how you became so strong, so focused, so confident. The truth is simple. You didn't change overnight. You changed one day at a time. Self-discipline is the foundation of everything because it determines whether a person acts based on purpose or emotion. Talent can open a door. Intelligence can provide understanding, and opportunity can create chances. But without self-discipline, none of these last. Self-discipline is the quiet force that guides daily behavior, especially when no one is watching and when motivation disappears. It is the ability to choose what is right over what is easy, what is necessary over what is comfortable, and what builds the future over what satisfies the present moment. Every meaningful achievement in life is rooted in repeated actions, not occasional inspiration. People often wait to feel motivated before taking action, but discipline works in the opposite direction. Discipline creates action first, and action then produces motivation. When a person trains themselves to act regardless of mood, progress becomes inevitable. This is why disciplined individuals often appear confident and consistent, while others struggle with cycles of excitement and disappointment. Discipline creates stability in behavior, and stability produces results. Self-discipline begins with controlling small daily choices. Waking up on time, staying focused on tasks, avoiding unnecessary distractions, and following routines may seem insignificant, yet these actions compound over time. A single disciplined decision may not change life immediately, but thousands of them shape identity. Over time, a person does not merely practice discipline, they become disciplined. Their habits define them more strongly than their intentions ever could. Without self-discipline, potential remains unused. Many people have dreams, but dreams without discipline become fantasies. The gap between where someone is and where they want to be is filled with daily effort. Discipline bridges that gap. It transforms desire into structure and ambition into action. It does not require extreme willpower every day, but it does require commitment to consistency. Even minimal effort performed daily surpasses intense effort done occasionally. Self-discipline also strengthens mental resilience. Life constantly presents discomfort, pressure, boredom, and uncertainty. A disciplined mind learns to function despite these challenges. It does not collapse under stress or give up when progress feels slow. Instead, it learns patience. Discipline teaches the mind to tolerate discomfort for the sake of growth. This tolerance becomes strength, allowing individuals to persist where others retreat. Emotions often sabotage progress when discipline is absent. People make decisions based on how they feel rather than what they know they should do. When energy is low, work is avoided. When fear appears, opportunities are ignored. When frustration arises, goals are abandoned. Discipline creates emotional stability by separating action from emotion. It allows a person to say, "I don't feel like it, but I will do it anyway." That mindset alone can change the direction of a life. Self-discipline also builds self-respect. Each time a person keeps a promise to themselves, confidence grows. Each time they break it, self-trust weakens. Discipline strengthens the internal relationship one has with oneself. It creates pride, not from external praise, but from internal integrity. Over time, disciplined individuals begin to rely on themselves. They know they will show up. They know they will try. That trust becomes unshakable. The process of building discipline is not glamorous. It involves repetition, boredom, and delayed gratification. It often goes unnoticed by others. There are no immediate rewards, applause, or recognition. Yet this is precisely what makes discipline powerful. It trains a person to move forward without validation. When success finally arrives, it rests on a foundation strong enough to sustain it. Self-discipline also protects individuals from regret. Many regrets in life are not caused by failure, but by inconsistency. Knowing what should have been done, but choosing comfort instead creates long-term dissatisfaction. Discipline reduces this internal conflict. It aligns daily actions with long-term values. Even when results take time, disciplined effort brings peace because a person knows they are doing their part. In a world filled with distractions, discipline has become even more valuable. Constant notifications, entertainment, and instant pleasure compete for attention. Discipline is the ability to delay pleasure and remain focused despite noise. Those who master this skill gain a significant advantage. They can concentrate deeply, learn faster, and execute plans while others remain scattered. Discipline restores control in an environment designed to steal it. Self-discipline also supports growth beyond achievement. It improves health through consistent movement and proper care of the body. It strengthens relationships through patience, communication, and responsibility. It improves finances through mindful spending and long-term planning. Every area of life improves when discipline is applied, because discipline brings structure, and structure brings clarity. It is important to understand that discipline is not punishment. It is self-leadership. It is not about restricting joy, but about protecting purpose. True discipline does not remove freedom, it creates it. When a person controls their habits, habits no longer control them. Freedom comes not from doing whatever one wants, but from being able to do what truly matters. Developing self-discipline requires awareness. One must observe patterns, recognize weaknesses, and accept responsibility without excuses. Growth begins when blame ends. Discipline grows when individuals stop waiting for perfect conditions and start acting within imperfect ones. Progress does not require intensity. It requires continuity. Over time, discipline simplifies life. Decisions become easier because values are clear. Energy is conserved because habits replace constant debate. Instead of negotiating with oneself daily, disciplined individuals follow established routines. This reduces mental fatigue and increases productivity. Life becomes more intentional and less chaotic. Self-discipline also cultivates humility. It teaches that success is not magic or luck, but effort repeated quietly over time. This understanding removes arrogance and replaces it with respect for process. Disciplined people appreciate progress rather than chasing shortcuts. They understand that shortcuts often lead backwards. Even confidence is strengthened through discipline. Confidence built on external approval is unstable, but confidence built on self-mastery endures. When someone knows they can control their impulses, manage their time, and stay committed, fear loses its power. Discipline creates inner stability that no external circumstance can easily destroy. The foundation of everything must be strong because everything else depends on it. Skills depend on practice. Dreams depend on action. Goals depend on persistence. Without discipline, each of these collapses under pressure. With discipline, even limited resources can produce extraordinary outcomes. Self-discipline is not something people are born with in fixed amounts. It is trained. It grows through repeated choices, especially when those choices are uncomfortable. Every time someone chooses effort over ease, discipline strengthens. Every time they choose delay over instant reward, discipline deepens. Over time, what once felt difficult becomes natural. The greatest transformation discipline creates is identity. When actions align with values daily, a person stops chasing motivation and becomes someone who simply does what needs to be done. That identity carries power. It shapes reputation, reliability, and results. Discipline becomes not just a habit, but a way of being. A disciplined life does not guarantee ease, but it guarantees direction. It does not remove struggle, but it gives struggle meaning. It replaces chaos with order and intention with progress. When discipline becomes the base upon which decisions are made, life moves forward with clarity and purpose rather than randomness and reaction. This is why self-discipline stands beneath every achievement, every improvement, and every lasting success. Without it, effort dissolves. With it, even the smallest step becomes powerful because it is repeated, protected, and sustained through time. The mind must be trained daily because it is constantly being influenced, shaped, and challenged by everything it encounters. Thoughts do not remain neutral on their own. If the mind is not guided intentionally, it drifts toward fear, doubt, distraction, and negativity. Just as the body weakens without regular exercise, the mind loses strength without consistent training. Mental discipline is not developed in moments of pressure, but through daily practice, when life feels ordinary. Every day, the mind absorbs information from conversations, media, experiences, and internal dialogue. Without awareness, this input quietly forms beliefs that determine confidence, behavior, and decision making. Training the mind means choosing what it focuses on rather than allowing circumstances to control it. When attention is unmanaged, worries grow louder and clarity fades. A trained mind learns to pause, evaluate, and respond with intention instead of reacting automatically. The quality of one's life often reflects the quality of one's thinking. Thoughts influence emotions. Emotions guide actions, and actions create outcomes. If negative thinking becomes habitual, progress feels heavy and motivation weakens. Training the mind involves recognizing harmful thought patterns and replacing them with constructive ones. This does not mean ignoring difficulty, but learning to face challenges without surrendering to discouragement. A trained mind understands that discomfort is part of growth. Many people avoid effort because the mind seeks ease and familiarity. Without training, it resists discipline and chooses comfort. Daily mental training teaches the mind to accept discomfort without panic. It learns that struggle is temporary and effort is necessary. Over time, resistance weakens and resilience strengthens. Mental training also builds focus. In a world full of interruptions, attention has become fragile. Constant switching between tasks reduces depth of thinking and clarity. A trained mind can concentrate on one task without craving stimulation. Focus allows learning to deepen, skills to sharpen, and work to improve. This ability is not natural for most people. It is developed through deliberate practice every day. Fear is another area shaped by mental training. Fear often appears before growth, change, or opportunity. An untrained mind magnifies fear, creating imagined outcomes that never occur. A trained mind acknowledges fear without obeying it. It understands that fear is information, not instruction. With repetition, the mind becomes familiar with uncertainty and learns that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. Self-talk plays a powerful role in mental conditioning. The way a person speaks to themselves shapes their confidence more than external opinions. Without training, inner dialogue becomes critical, impatient, and limiting. Daily mental practice encourages awareness of this inner voice. Replacing harsh self-judgment with constructive guidance strengthens emotional stability and persistence. The mind learns to support effort instead of sabotaging it. Training the mind daily also improves emotional regulation. Emotions rise naturally, but how one responds determines their impact. An untrained mind is easily overwhelmed by anger, frustration, or sadness. A trained mind creates space between emotion and action. This space allows choice. Instead of reacting impulsively, the individual responds thoughtfully. Over time, emotional balance becomes steadier and conflicts become easier to manage. Consistency in mental training builds patience. Many people quit too early because the mind demands quick results. Daily training teaches delayed gratification. It conditions the mind to trust process rather than demand instant reward. This patience allows long-term goals to survive temporary setbacks. Progress becomes sustainable rather than fragile. The mind must also be trained to handle failure. Without training, failure feels personal and final. It damages confidence and discourages effort. A trained mind views failure as feedback. It analyzes mistakes without attaching shame. This perspective keeps learning alive and prevents stagnation. Instead of avoiding risk, the trained mind sees effort as valuable regardless of outcome. Mental strength is built through repetition, not intensity. Small daily practices shape thought patterns more effectively than occasional bursts of motivation. Reflection, reading, silence, and deliberate focus gradually rewire thinking. Over time, the mind becomes calmer under pressure and clearer during uncertainty. Training the mind also improves decision-making. When emotions dominate, decisions become reactive. A trained mind considers consequences, values, and long-term impact. This clarity reduces regret and increases confidence in choices made. Even difficult decisions feel lighter when the mind is stable. Confidence itself grows from mental training. Confidence is not created by success alone, but by preparedness. A trained mind trusts its ability to adapt, learn, and persist. This trust reduces anxiety before challenges and strengthens presence in difficult situations. Confidence becomes internal rather than dependent on outcomes. Daily mental training also strengthens self-awareness. It helps individuals recognize triggers, habits, and tendencies. Awareness is the beginning of control. Without it, patterns repeat unconsciously. With it, change becomes possible. A trained mind notices when it is drifting toward negativity and gently redirects itself. The mind must be trained because it constantly seeks certainty. When certainty is missing, anxiety grows. Training teaches acceptance of uncertainty. Life becomes less frightening when the mind understands that not everything needs immediate answers. This acceptance brings calm and adaptability. Mental training also improves communication. A calm and aware mind listens better, responds more thoughtfully, and expresses ideas more clearly. Relationships benefit when emotions are managed internally before being expressed externally. Understanding increases and conflict decreases. Discipline of the mind supports discipline in action. Without mental strength, habits collapse under stress. When the mind is trained, it leads behavior instead of following impulses. Daily effort becomes more natural because resistance weakens. The mind stops negotiating with discomfort and begins cooperating with purpose. A trained mind also protects energy. Worry, overthinking, and comparison drain mental strength. Training reduces these patterns by teaching focus on what can be controlled. Energy, once wasted on anxiety, becomes available for growth and creativity. Mental training encourages responsibility. Instead of blaming circumstances, the mind looks inward for improvement. This shift empowers progress. Responsibility restores control and direction. When the mind accepts ownership of choices, life feels less chaotic. The mind must be trained daily because it forgets easily. It forgets goals, lessons, and perspective. Daily practice reinforces direction. It reminds the individual who they are becoming and why effort matters. Without reminders, purpose fades. Over time, a trained mind becomes a stable place to return to during difficulty. When chaos surrounds, clarity remains inside. This inner stability allows consistent effort regardless of external conditions. Life becomes less reactive and more intentional. Mental training does not eliminate negative thoughts, but it changes the relationship with them. Thoughts are observed rather than obeyed. This separation creates freedom. The mind becomes a tool rather than a trap. Growth accelerates when the mind is aligned with intention. Daily training aligns thoughts with values and actions with goals. This alignment reduces internal conflict and increases momentum. A mind trained daily becomes flexible yet focused, calm yet driven, realistic yet hopeful. It learns when to push and when to pause. It adapts without losing direction. Without daily training, the mind slowly weakens under pressure, distraction, and fear. With daily training, it strengthens quietly, steadily, and deeply. This strength supports every area of life, shaping behavior, character, and resilience from within. Consistency beats talent because talent alone does not guarantee progress, growth, or success. Talent may provide an early advantage, but without consistent effort, it fades quickly. Many people begin with natural ability, intelligence, or creativity, yet fail to move forward because they rely too heavily on what comes easily. Consistency, on the other hand, creates momentum through repetition, discipline, and commitment. It transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results over time. Talent often creates comfort. When something comes naturally, there is less urgency to practice, improve, or push limits. This comfort can quietly slow development. Consistency does not depend on ease. It depends on showing up repeatedly, especially on days when improvement feels slow or invisible. Progress, built through consistency, may appear small at first, but it compounds steadily, often surpassing those who started ahead. Consistent effort builds skill in a way talent alone never can. Skill is not created through occasional bursts of intensity, but through repeated practice. Each repetition strengthens understanding, precision, and confidence. Even those without natural advantage can outperform the talented when they commit to daily improvement. Over time, consistency closes gaps and eventually reverses them. Talent can impress quickly, but consistency sustains performance. Many talented individuals struggle when challenges increase because they have not developed the discipline to work through difficulty. Consistent individuals expect difficulty and continue regardless. This mindset creates endurance. When pressure rises, consistency provides stability while talent alone begins to falter. Consistency also builds trust. Others learn to rely on individuals who show up regularly, meet expectations, and maintain effort. Talent without reliability creates uncertainty. People may admire ability, but they depend on consistency. In professional, academic, and personal environments, dependability often outweighs brilliance. One of the greatest strengths of consistency is that it removes dependence on motivation. Motivation is unpredictable. It rises and falls with mood, energy, and circumstances. Consistency operates independently of feeling. It is driven by routine and commitment rather than inspiration. This allows progress to continue even during fatigue, boredom, or doubt. Consistency creates identity. When an action is repeated long enough, it becomes part of who a person is. A writer who writes daily becomes a writer. A learner who studies daily becomes knowledgeable. Identity formed through consistency is powerful because it reinforces behavior automatically. Talent may describe potential, but consistency defines character. Small, consistent actions accumulate massive results. A single effort may seem insignificant, but repetition multiplies its impact. Improvement rarely arrives suddenly. It grows quietly beneath the surface. Many people stop too early because they cannot see immediate results. Consistent individuals continue because they trust the process rather than the moment. Talent often creates comparison. People compare their abilities to others and become discouraged or arrogant. Consistency shifts focus inward. The comparison becomes yesterday versus today. This internal measurement fosters sustainable growth and protects confidence from external fluctuation. Consistency also strengthens mental resilience. Repetition builds tolerance for frustration and delay. It trains patience. When results take time, consistent individuals continue because effort has become habitual. This endurance is often what separates long-term achievers from short-term starters. Talent can attract attention, but consistency earns mastery. Mastery is not the result of genius, but of time spent practicing fundamentals. Repetition deepens understanding. Mistakes become lessons rather than obstacles. Over time, consistent practice refines performance beyond raw ability. When challenges arise, consistency provides structure. During chaos or uncertainty, routine anchors behavior. A talented person without routine may feel lost when conditions change. A consistent person adapts because their habits remain intact. Consistency also reduces fear of failure. When effort is regular, failure becomes part of the process rather than a final judgment. Each attempt is simply another repetition. This mindset encourages experimentation and learning. Talent without consistency often fears failure because identity is attached to performance. Progress through consistency is quiet and often unnoticed. There is no dramatic transformation. At the beginning, growth happens slowly, almost invisibly. This lack of immediate reward discourages many. Those who remain consistent understand that invisibility is temporary. Consistency teaches humility. It reminds individuals that improvement requires time and effort regardless of ability. This humility keeps learning active. Talented individuals who stop learning eventually stagnate, while consistent learners continue evolving. Energy becomes more efficient through consistency. Repeated actions require less mental effort. What once felt difficult becomes automatic. This efficiency allows focus to expand into more advanced challenges. Consistency simplifies progress by reducing resistance. Consistency also builds confidence differently than talent. Confidence from talent is fragile because it depends on success. Confidence from consistency is stable because it is based on effort, even on difficult days. The consistent individual knows they are doing the work. Long-term success is rarely the result of brilliance alone. It is the result of reliability over time. Showing up repeatedly creates opportunity. Opportunity recognizes consistency before talent. Those who are present often are chosen more often. Consistency transforms mistakes into improvement. Each repetition allows adjustment. Small corrections compound into refinement. Talent without repetition lacks this feedback loop and remains underdeveloped. When consistency is present, momentum grows. Momentum reduces resistance. What once required discipline becomes natural rhythm. Progress accelerates not because effort increases, but because continuity remains unbroken. Consistency also protects against burnout. Unlike extreme effort followed by rest, steady progress balances energy. Sustainable pace allows longevity. Many talented individuals burn out due to intensity without structure. Consistency values sustainability over speed. Daily effort also builds patience with oneself. Consistent individuals understand that growth is not linear. Some days progress is visible, other days it is not. This acceptance prevents discouragement and keeps movement steady. Consistency allows ordinary people to achieve extraordinary outcomes. It proves that greatness is not reserved for the gifted, but accessible to the committed. Ability may start the journey, but persistence determines the destination. Talent can open doors, but consistency decides whether one stays inside. Without daily effort, opportunity slips away. With steady action, opportunities multiply. Consistency aligns actions with goals. Goals without consistent behavior remain wishes. Daily effort turns intention into reality. Even slow progress maintains direction. Over time, consistency reshapes limits. What once felt impossible becomes manageable. What once felt difficult becomes routine. This expansion of capacity is gradual but powerful. Consistency also creates discipline without force. When behavior becomes habit, willpower is no longer constantly required. The system carries the effort forward. In the long run, consistency outlasts talent because time rewards repetition. What is practiced repeatedly improves. What is ignored weakens. Time is neutral, but consistency uses time effectively. Those who remain consistent continue growing, while others restart repeatedly. Restarting feels productive, but resets momentum. Consistency preserves progress and deepens it. Every achievement built to last is supported by sustained effort. Talent may shine briefly, but consistency builds durability. It is the quiet commitment to return again and again that creates excellence. Consistency does not promise quick success, but it guarantees progress. Each day of effort becomes part of a larger accumulation. The results may appear slow, but they are reliable. When consistency becomes a way of living, effort stops feeling heavy. It becomes normal. Growth becomes expected. Improvement becomes inevitable. In the end, the difference between those who succeed and those who struggle is rarely intelligence or ability. It is who continued when excitement faded, who practiced when no one was watching, who returned after disappointment, and who remained committed long enough for progress to take shape. Emotional control is a superpower because it determines how a person responds to pressure, conflict, disappointment, and uncertainty. Emotions arise naturally but the ability to manage them separates reactive behavior from intentional action. Those who lack emotional control often feel powerless, driven by anger, fear, or frustration. Those who develop it gain stability in situations that overwhelm others. This stability allows clarity to remain even when circumstances are intense. Every emotion carries energy, but unmanaged emotion can distort judgment. When emotions take control, decisions become impulsive. Words are spoken without thought. Actions are taken without foresight, and regret often follows. Emotional control creates space between feeling and response. In that space lies choice. The ability to pause, reflect, and decide rather than react is what gives emotional control its strength. Emotional control does not mean suppressing feelings. Suppression increases internal pressure and eventually leads to emotional collapse. True control comes from awareness and regulation. It involves recognizing emotions as they arise, understanding their source, and choosing how to express them constructively. This awareness turns emotions into information rather than commands. In moments of conflict, emotional control becomes especially powerful. When anger rises, most people escalate the situation by reacting instantly. A controlled response lowers intensity and shifts the dynamic. Calmness often disarms aggression. It communicates confidence and self-respect without confrontation. This ability to remain composed can prevent arguments, protect relationships, and preserve dignity. Stress tests emotional strength daily. Deadlines, responsibilities, and expectations can easily overwhelm an untrained emotional system. Without control, stress leads to panic or shutdown. With control, stress becomes manageable pressure rather than chaos. The mind remains functional, allowing problem solving instead of emotional exhaustion. Emotional control also protects mental energy. Constant emotional reactions drain focus and clarity. Overthinking, resentment, and worry consume attention that could be used productively. Regulating emotions preserves this energy. It allows attention to remain on solutions rather than spiraling thoughts. Fear is one of the strongest emotions influencing behavior. It prevents action, encourages avoidance, and amplifies doubt. Emotional control does not remove fear, but prevents it from dictating decisions. The controlled mind acknowledges fear while continuing forward. This ability enables growth, change, and courage. Emotional control strengthens leadership. Whether leading others or oneself, calm decision-making builds trust. People feel safe around those who are emotionally stable. Unpredictable emotional reactions create tension and uncertainty. Controlled responses create reliability and confidence. In difficult moments, emotional control preserves clarity. When pressure increases, many people lose perspective. They exaggerate problems and underestimate their ability to cope. Emotional regulation keeps problems in proportion. It allows individuals to respond to what is actually happening rather than imagined outcomes. Disappointment is unavoidable in life. Plans fail, expectations break, and outcomes differ from hopes. Without emotional control, disappointment turns into bitterness or self-blame. With control, disappointment becomes reflection. Lessons are extracted without emotional damage. Progress continues without losing motivation. Emotional control also strengthens self-respect. When a person manages their reactions, they maintain dignity. They are not embarrassed by outbursts or impulsive decisions. This builds inner confidence and trust in oneself. Each controlled response reinforces the belief that emotions can be managed rather than feared. The ability to remain calm during provocation is rare and powerful. When others attempt to trigger reactions, emotional control removes their influence. Silence, restraint, or thoughtful response often carries more impact than emotional expression. Control shifts power inward. Emotional maturity develops through practice. It is not an inherited trait, but a learned skill. Each moment of restraint strengthens it. Each conscious pause builds awareness. Over time, emotional reactions soften and intentional responses increase. Emotional control improves communication. When emotions dominate, listening decreases. Defensiveness blocks understanding. Regulate emotions allow patience and openness. Conversations become productive rather than confrontational. This improves both personal and professional relationships. Comparison often triggers emotional distress. Seeing others succeed can create envy or inadequacy. Emotional control reduces comparison by grounding self-worth internally. It allows appreciation without self-judgment. Progress becomes personal rather than competitive. Emotional control also supports long-term goals. Many goals require patience and delayed gratification. Emotional impulses seek immediate comfort. Regulation allows discipline to override impulse. This alignment keeps behavior consistent with long-term vision rather than short-term emotion. Anger, when unmanaged, damages more than it solves. It weakens judgment and harms relationships. Controlled anger can be transformed into assertiveness and clarity. The emotion remains, but its expression becomes constructive rather than destructive. Emotional control protects reputation. Reactions shape how others perceive reliability and character. A single emotional outburst can overshadow years of effort. Control maintains professionalism and respect even in challenging situations. Emotional intelligence grows from regulation. Understanding one's own emotions increases understanding of others. Empathy becomes easier when reactions are not dominating attention. This deepens connection and cooperation. An emotionally controlled person is harder to manipulate. Manipulation relies on triggering fear, guilt, or anger. Awareness and regulation neutralize these tactics. Decisions remain self-directed rather than externally influenced. Emotional control also enhances learning. When frustration arises during difficulty, many people quit. Regulation allows persistence through confusion. Learning continues instead of stopping at discomfort. Daily emotional discipline builds resilience. Over time, challenges feel less overwhelming. The nervous system adapts. Calm becomes more natural. Emotional recovery becomes faster. Control does not eliminate emotion, but creates balance. Joy is experienced fully without dependency. Sadness is felt without collapse. Excitement exists without recklessness. Balance allows emotional richness without instability. In moments of uncertainty, emotional regulation anchors decision-making. It prevents panic and rash choices. Calm analysis becomes possible. This is especially critical during change or crisis. Emotional control strengthens independence. When emotions are managed internally, external circumstances lose dominance. Approval, criticism, and opinion have less power. Self-direction increases. The ability to stay composed under pressure distinguishes maturity. It reflects inner discipline rather than emotional absence. Strength is shown not through intensity, but through restraint. Over time, emotional control reshapes identity. A person becomes known as steady, thoughtful, and composed. This reputation opens trust and opportunity. Emotional control does not mean weakness. It requires strength to hold back reaction, to pause when provoked, and to respond with intention. That strength is cultivated through repeated awareness and practice. The superpower lies in choosing response rather than surrendering to reaction. It lies in maintaining clarity when emotions surge. It lies in protecting peace while facing challenge. When emotional control is developed, life becomes less turbulent. Difficulties remain, but inner stability grows. External chaos no longer creates internal collapse. The individual moves through pressure with composure, direction, and presence. Growth requires discomfort because change cannot occur within familiarity. Comfort provides safety, but it also preserves limitation. When life remains predictable, there is no pressure to adapt, learn, or expand. Discomfort signals that something new is being attempted. It is the feeling that arises when old boundaries are challenged and new capacity is being formed. Every stage of growth introduces unfamiliar conditions. Learning a new skill feels awkward before it feels natural. Taking responsibility feels heavy before it feels empowering. Stepping into uncertainty feels frightening before it becomes confidence. Discomfort is not a sign of failure, but evidence of transition. The human mind is designed to protect comfort. It resists change, avoids uncertainty, and prefers what is known. This instinct once protected survival, but in modern life it often restricts development. Growth requires overriding this instinct intentionally. Discomfort becomes the price of progress. Avoiding discomfort leads to stagnation. When effort is avoided, potential remains unused. Habits stay unchanged. The same problems repeat because the same choices are made. Discomfort interrupts these cycles. It forces adaptation and reevaluation. Physical growth follows the same principle. Muscles strengthen only when placed under stress. Without resistance, they weaken. Mental and emotional growth operate similarly. Challenge strengthens resilience. Struggle builds endurance. Discomfort teaches patience. Results do not appear immediately. The mind wants relief, but growth demands persistence. Sitting with uncertainty trains emotional tolerance. This tolerance becomes strength. Fear often accompanies discomfort. Fear arises not because danger is present, but because change is occurring. The mind interprets unfamiliarity as threat. Growth requires moving forward despite this fear. Courage is not the absence of discomfort, but the decision to continue through it. Discomfort exposes weakness, but exposure is necessary for improvement. Weakness that remains hidden cannot be strengthened. Growth requires honest awareness of limitations. This awareness may feel uncomfortable, but it provides direction. Learning often feels frustrating before it feels rewarding. Confusion appears before clarity. Mistakes appear before mastery. Those who expect comfort abandon learning too early. Those who accept discomfort continue until understanding forms. Discomfort reshapes identity. Each time a person endures difficulty without retreat, self-image changes. Confidence grows not from success alone, but from surviving challenge. This internal shift creates belief in one's capacity to handle future obstacles. Many people confuse discomfort with danger. Growth demands distinguishing between the two. Discomfort stretches ability. Danger threatens safety. Learning to recognize this difference allows progress without recklessness. Discomfort strengthens discipline. When effort becomes uncomfortable, discipline replaces emotion. This builds reliability. Action becomes guided by intention rather than feeling. Social growth also requires discomfort. Speaking honestly, setting boundaries, and expressing needs often feel uneasy. Avoiding these moments preserves temporary peace, but creates long-term dissatisfaction. Discomfort allows authenticity. Emotional growth requires facing feelings rather than escaping them. Avoidance offers short-term relief but long-term imbalance. Processing emotions feels uncomfortable, yet it restores clarity and stability. Discomfort reveals priorities. When something matters deeply, effort continues despite difficulty. This clarifies purpose. What one is willing to struggle for defines values more than words. Growth challenges identity. Old versions of the self must be released. Familiar behaviors lose relevance. This transition feels unstable. Letting go is uncomfortable, yet necessary. Discomfort encourages learning humility. It reminds individuals that mastery takes time. Ego resists this realization, but acceptance opens improvement. Pressure refines character. Under ease, qualities remain untested. Under difficulty, discipline, patience, and integrity emerge. Discomfort forces focus. When challenged, attention sharpens. Comfort allows distraction. Growth demands presence. Avoiding discomfort often leads to regret. Knowing that potential was ignored creates deeper pain than effort ever would. Temporary discomfort prevents lasting dissatisfaction. Progress requires repetition of uncomfortable actions until they become familiar. What once caused anxiety becomes routine. Growth expands the comfort zone, but only by entering discomfort first. Uncertainty is a major form of discomfort. Growth often requires acting without guarantees. Waiting for certainty delays progress indefinitely. Discomfort also teaches resilience. Enduring difficulty without collapsing builds inner stability. This resilience becomes transferable to future challenges. Challenges refine decision-making. Under pressure, priorities become clear. Non-essential concerns fade. Discomfort strengthens patience with others. Struggle increases empathy. Understanding deepens through personal challenge. Growth requires risk. Risk introduces vulnerability. Vulnerability feels uncomfortable, but allows connection and learning. Avoidance of discomfort creates dependence on external validation and stability. Enduring discomfort builds internal security. Discomfort often arrives before opportunity. Preparation feels difficult before results appear. Mental expansion requires challenging beliefs. Questioning long-held assumptions creates discomfort but opens awareness. Failure is a form of discomfort that teaches. Avoiding failure prevents learning. Accepting it accelerates development. Effort under discomfort builds credibility with oneself. Self-trust grows when challenges are faced rather than avoided. Discomfort sharpens perspective. It reveals what truly matters when convenience is removed. Growth changes relationships. Some connections fade as values shift. This transition can feel isolating, but aligns life more honestly. Embracing discomfort trains adaptability. Life becomes less intimidating when change is familiar. Discomfort tests commitment. Only goals worth pursuing survive difficulty. Strength develops through repeated exposure to challenge. Each experience increases tolerance. Growth is rarely dramatic. It unfolds quietly through consistent discomfort, endured willingly. Comfort maintains the present. Discomfort builds the future. Each step outside familiarity expands capacity. What once felt impossible becomes manageable. Resistance is the mind's attempt to protect identity. Growth requires redefining identity. Progress requires choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term ease. Discomfort refines clarity. It removes illusion and exposes truth. Through discomfort, awareness deepens, perspective broadens, capacity expands. The path of growth is rarely smooth. It includes doubt, effort, and uncertainty. Those who grow do not eliminate discomfort. They learn to walk with it. Each moment of discomfort carries potential. What determines growth is whether it is faced or avoided. Expansion occurs at the edge of ability. Growth lives where comfort ends. Daily improvement creates long-term success because meaningful change is rarely the result of a single decision or dramatic moment. It is built through small actions repeated consistently over time. Progress that seems insignificant in one day becomes powerful when accumulated. Each effort adds to the next, forming momentum that slowly reshapes ability, confidence, and results. Many people underestimate the value of small improvements because they focus on immediate outcomes. When change is not visible right away, motivation fades. Daily improvement requires faith in process rather than obsession with instant reward. It teaches patience and commitment. Even a slight step forward maintains direction, and direction sustained over time leads to transformation. Success is often imagined as sudden, but it is usually the result of unseen preparation. Behind visible achievement are countless ordinary days of effort. Daily improvement operates quietly. It strengthens foundations before results appear. This invisible work is what allows success to last rather than collapse under pressure. Improvement does not demand perfection. It requires intention. A small increase in effort, focus, or awareness is enough. Progress measured daily prevents overwhelm. Large goals become manageable when broken into consistent steps. The mind can commit to today more easily than to a distant future. Daily improvement builds discipline naturally. When effort becomes routine, resistance decreases. What once required motivation becomes habit. Habits remove dependence on willpower. This consistency stabilizes progress even when emotions fluctuate. Small improvements also create confidence. Each completed action reinforces belief in one's ability to grow. Confidence built this way is stable because it is earned repeatedly. It does not depend on comparison or external approval. Long-term success depends more on continuity than intensity. Extreme effort, followed by long pauses, weakens momentum. Steady progress sustains it. Daily improvement values reliability over speed. Incremental growth allows learning from feedback. Mistakes are corrected early before becoming patterns. This refinement improves efficiency and quality. Progress becomes smarter rather than harder. Daily effort also strengthens focus. Attention remains on process instead of pressure. When focus stays on today's task, anxiety about outcome decreases. Calm consistency replaces stress. The compound effect of daily improvement is powerful. What appears minor multiplies over time. Skills sharpen. Knowledge deepens. Confidence expands. Results eventually accelerate because the foundation has been strengthened gradually. Daily improvement teaches humility. It accepts that mastery takes time. This acceptance keeps learning active. Pride fades, curiosity grows. Consistency also builds resilience. When effort is regular, setbacks lose power. Missing a day becomes a pause rather than a collapse. Progress resumes because the identity of improvement remains intact. Daily growth encourages adaptability. Small adjustments allow direction to shift without losing momentum. This flexibility is essential for long-term success in changing environments. Improvement practice daily strengthens awareness. Individuals begin to notice patterns, habits, and opportunities for refinement. Awareness increases efficiency and reduces wasted effort. Long-term success requires sustainability. Daily improvement respects energy limits. It avoids burnout by emphasizing progress over pressure. This allows growth to continue for years rather than weeks. Daily progress aligns actions with values. Intentional effort creates congruence between who one wants to become and what one does each day. This alignment reduces internal conflict. Small improvements also reduce fear. Large leaps feel risky. Small steps feel manageable. Confidence grows gradually without overwhelming anxiety. Daily improvement builds credibility. Others learn to trust consistency. Reliability attracts opportunity. Dependability often outweighs brilliance. Long-term success is rarely the product of dramatic change. It is the accumulation of ordinary discipline. Showing up repeatedly creates stability. Daily effort also clarifies purpose. Through consistent action, goals become refined. What does not matter falls away. What matters gains focus. Incremental progress sharpens patience. Waiting becomes productive rather than passive. Time is used intentionally. Daily improvement develops mastery. Mastery is the result of repeated refinement, not talent alone. Each repetition strengthens understanding. Progress also strengthens identity. A person begins to see themselves as someone who improves daily. This identity reinforces behavior automatically. Small improvements compound mentally as well as practically. Mindset shifts toward growth. Challenges become opportunities for refinement rather than obstacles. Daily effort reduces overwhelm. Large goals become collections of manageable actions. Clarity replaces confusion. Long-term success depends on reliability during ordinary days. Exceptional moments are built on consistent ones. Daily improvement allows recovery without quitting. Even slow progress maintains direction. Momentum survives fluctuation. Incremental growth improves decision-making. Reflection becomes part of routine. Choices become aligned with long-term vision. Daily improvement also increases gratitude. Progress becomes visible through reflection. Appreciation grows for effort rather than outcome. Over time, discipline becomes natural. Effort feels lighter because it is familiar. Consistency protects progress from emotional swings. Action continues even when motivation declines. Daily growth encourages self-respect. Keeping commitments to oneself builds trust internally. Long-term success requires patience with process. Daily improvement teaches this patience naturally. Small gains accumulate quietly. 1% improvements multiply into significant change. Daily effort creates rhythm. Rhythm creates flow. Flow sustains progress. Improvement strengthens focus on controllables. Energy shifts away from worry toward action. Long-term success depends on becoming rather than achieving. Daily improvement shapes character. Incremental progress also allows reflection. Learning deepens through repetition. Daily improvement builds resilience against distraction. Focus strengthens through routine. Over time, progress becomes visible not only in results but in mindset, confidence, and stability. Consistency develops calm. Calm improves performance. Daily improvement encourages ownership. Responsibility replaces excuses. Long-term success emerges from alignment between intention and action. Incremental effort keeps purpose alive. Growth becomes sustainable rather than forced. Daily improvement reshapes standards. What was once effort becomes expectation. The path forward becomes clearer with each step taken. Long-term success is not created by waiting for the perfect moment, but by improving within the present one. Each day becomes a building block. Progress becomes inevitable through continuity. The future is shaped quietly through repeated intention today.